It's interesting, as you say, we needed a pause, and you can really see that with our environment. The way that the environment has responded to this pause has been incredible, with cleaner air and more wildlife being present. And we have seen so many of those images that humans are not pushing away animals right now. We're living in harmony with animals, and it's beautiful. We don't need to just put them in cages and zoos. It's really been amazing. And in terms of what you're saying, I have a question about how to go from that place of worry to certainty. How do you make that jump? Can you actually take us through a process where we can actually transform?
So what I've noticed is that worry is an emotion that focuses on the past. You know, you start looking at the past, and it kind of brings your conscious mind and your subconscious mind into past experiences. So whenever you worry, you're already dwelling on maybe something that happened in the past that was negative in nature. So the way you go into certainty is that you get to write the end of that story. You get to write what's going to happen. You get to decide how are you going to end up at the end of this, who you want to be at the end of this. So it's as simple as this. You identify a worry. I'm worried that I'm going to be unable to support my family financially at the end of this, right? That's a very simple worry. We notice that many people have been impacted financially. We notice that we have over 20 million people unemployed right now. We noticed that the PPP ran out of money very quickly, that the government gave us an incentive. So we know that there's a reality there. I'm not saying that it's not. But what I want you to consider is this. If all of a sudden you take that worry of not being able to provide financially for my family, and you rewrite that chapter, you rewrite that end of the story and say, during this time, I'm going to be the most financially able that I've ever been in my life. Once you create that certainty of that, now you begin to start feeling a little bit different about who you're being during this process. And what we know through the law of attraction, as you know, is that our feelings is what attracts everything into our life. If you're feeling worried, what does that do? That's going to increase your cortisol levels, which is going to not be very detrimental for your body. That's going to create chemistries in your systems that are going to be very detrimental to your organs. But when you have certainty instead, where you write the end of that story, all of a sudden now you're going to be more creative. You're going to start feeling healthier. And now you're going to be able to say to yourself, you know what? What can I do right now to be able to be financially able? I was talking to a dear friend of mine that had to change his whole business. At thousands of meetings that they do and every single week has to go virtual in a matter of a week. And he did it primarily because he recognized that he had too many people depending on those meetings to succeed. And he recognized that he either could be a victim and say, oh my gosh, my business of so many years, it will go down the drain. Or he had to recognize that, you know what, we can leverage technology at a time like this where more people maybe can even grow his business, where more people are going to be able to participate rather than the opposite. And you do that by making the decision. Bob Proctor taught us one of my greatest lessons he taught me many years ago. He said, after 65 years of teaching personal development, there was one thing that kept people from succeeding. And Lisa, guess what that is? Uncertainty. Undecisiveness. You have to be decisive at a time like this more than ever. So how do you do that? By making small decisions, but be decisive. Don't stay in this indecisive mode of uncertainty. Be decisive. Control what you can control and accept what you can control, but do it with faith rather than fear. The biggest challenge right now is that so many people have gone into fear rather than faith, and that's limiting their ability to respond.
That is the energy that comes through when you watch the news, is fear energy. And so I've noticed this is such it's a tiny distinction here of that moment when, yes, you sit and you look on the couch, you sit on the couch and you look at the news and you wait for the money to open up and you look at your bank account and it's not there and the check's not coming in from the unemployment and you can just get stuck. Or you're on the other side of that where you are pivoting, you're working your tail off, you have no time to connect with your family, and it's actually more work than you've ever experienced in your life. So there's a choice point there. There's a decision to pivot. And it happens in just a moment. It happens in just a moment. Everything starts with a decision, Tony Robbins says. So my question is, how do you make that one little choice point moment to pivot? What precedes that moment of pivoting? Yeah, the information's out there and you know what you want to do and you want to take action or you want to connect more with your family. But how do we, that little moment there, it's so golden. It's very precious. How do you seize that moment and control that moment?
You know, there's a couple of things that I do. The first thing that I recommend everybody do, that has been a habit of mine for many years, is as soon as you wake up in the morning, make your bed. That's a decision. You start with an activity right away. You know, go ahead and shower and shave and groom. You know, right now I see so many postings of people that have let themselves go because just because they're in isolation doesn't mean that you have to not take care of yourself. So you start making little decisions like that. You're going to shower. You're going to take care of yourself. You're going to write an agenda for the day. Granted, maybe you don't have a whole bunch of appointments to do, but you're going to create an agenda every single day. That's how you are decisive. You decide how you're going to control that next day, and you're going to review it that morning. So that way you can be in activity that is constructive, the things that really matter for you. Who are you going to call today? What are you going to do? Whether it's personal, professional, do something that you know that you are in control of your decisions right now. Because if you don't control your agenda, guess what happens? Your agenda becomes